Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. According to NTD Taiwan, police on the island have launched an investigation into a series of bomb threats targeting performances in Taiwan by Shen Yun, a U.S.-based classical Chinese dance company founded by Falun Gong practitioners. This comes as similar threats have been made against Shen Yun at venues across the United States. Joining us now to discuss is Levi Browde, Executive Director of the Falun Dafa Information Center. Levi, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you again. Now, your organization released information yesterday about the suspects behind the bomb threats targeting Shen Yun. What new details can you tell us?
Well, these bomb threats have been going on for more than a year. This is when when they issued these threats, they usually use VPNs and other techniques to mask who they are. But for one of the first times, actually, we've been able to trace, or rather, the Taiwanese authorities were able to trace that back to its source in Shanxi province, likely at a building owned or run by Huawei.
Now, Huawei has been blacklisted in the U.S. for years. That's over espionage and national security concerns. It's a giant telecommunications company. Given Huawei's ties to the Chinese regime and the military, what does that tell you about this CCP operation targeting Shen Yun?
Well, it confirms what we've suspected all along. If you look at leaked CCP documents, for years they've been talking about targeting Shen Yun with quote-unquote precise strikes. There's been a slew of incidents perpetuated by the Chinese regime, its diplomats. And so the idea that these bomb threats and these other threats that are being hounding Shen Yun all over the world are coming from a state-run entity or really a state-affiliated entity in Huawei is absolutely no surprise. This is what we'd suspected all along.
Now, Levi, you and I have spoken about transnational repression before in the U.S. How do these threats fit into that broader pattern here on American soil against Falun Gong and Shen Yun especially?
The pattern's very disturbing and very specific, especially over the last year. I mean, again, since its inception in 2006, Shen Yun's been a target of transnational repression of Chinese regime in over 40 countries around the world. However, this last year has been interesting in that at the highest levels of the Chinese regime, we know that they have recognized that they have failed to sabotage and stop this company. And so they started a brand new campaign, and that involves going after using our legal system, using our own governmental systems, using media, to try and trash or vilify the company. And right as this new campaign is really underway and occurring in the United States, these wave of bomb threats started happening and escalating. And so it dovetails with a global campaign by the Chinese regime to sabotage and really destroy Shen Yun Performing Arts.
And on that note, given these findings, what does that mean for Americans and U.S. institutions? What is that broader concern here?
I mean, if you look at it, here we have a Chinese company that's clearly controlled by the CCP, making what would be in any other context be a terrorist threat. They're threatening to bomb a theater and kill innocent people. And here you have a Chinese company as the source doing that to an American company in Taiwan, in America, and in Europe. And so that is a mechanism, that is a will to do this kind of thing that I think is very dangerous, because they could threaten not just Shen Yun, they could go after any organization, any person that they want to intimidate or silence anywhere around the world. And clearly they have the gall to do that.
And given all of those concerns, we do know there's been some congressional interest in supporting an FBI investigation on these anonymous threats. What other policy recommendations would you have here?
Well, I think two things. They should get a lot more strict on sanctions. They have the sanctionability. They've sanctioned individuals in China before who were involved in the persecution of Falun Gong. There's no reason they can't further go after individuals, government entities, corporations in this case, in the case of Huawei. And so I think they really should utilize the sanction mechanism that they already have at their disposal. I also think we should look at our FARA laws in terms of individuals, organizations that are clearly acting at the behest of Beijing, to silence an American company, to destroy American company. They should be clearly labeled as foreign agents, and certainly that applies to Huawei, but it would apply to a lot of the other proxies we've seen over the last 18 years that have targeted Shen Yun in this manner.
Levi Browde, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.